Episode 3 starts out focusing on Britt. She's having a seafood family dinner for her in-laws. In her confessional, she lets it be known that she dated Rick Ross. Her husband makes it clear that he's ready for a baby, but Britt is more focused on wanting a wedding. Then she slips away to have some talk with one of the family members, but her husband Michael cuts in. He comes across as very protective of her. I think that he doesn't want them to say the wrong thing on camera. And I think he knows that she might have a penchant to say the wrong thing. The next scene moves on to Portia and Kelly. They meet up for drinks. Now, I'm wondering if production made them meet up, because after Kelly asked the question, why did Portia steal that lady's husband? I can't imagine that Portia would want to meet with her for drinks. When Kelly sits down, she says she doesn't want to drink at first. And then as the scene goes on, she wants to drink by the end of it. She says she feels comfortable enough to have a drink. I thought that was a pretty cool dynamic too, because in my eyes, if I'm going into a situation that I know might be kind of contentious, I might want the drink first. Portia says that Kelly has different personalities. In the confessional, Kelly says but Portia has different men, so what difference does it make? I thought that was a funny read, a nice comeback. All right, moving on to the next scene, and it's of Drew in the studio. Now, in my opinion, Drew wants to be taken seriously as a real singer, so I feel that in that song we heard, there was too much auto-tune going on. She basically sounded like a robot or T-Pain. Drew gets caught lying by the production. She says she doesn't talk on the phone to Dennis, but then they come back with receipts. So then Cynthia tries to give her advice, and she just told Drew that baby daddies hit different, and Kenya comes out the gate and tells her that people are viewing her as promiscuous or as somebody that's sleeping around. Drew is shocked when Kenya puts it out there. This is the second time Drew is just giving a, oh my God, like a shocked expression. When Portia confronted her, and now when Kenya's confronting her, it's just a shocked expression and no comeback. A good housewife has to be able to have a tennis match where somebody says something to you and you have a response back. All right, moving on to the next scene. Shamia is sitting with her sisters and she's having an emotional moment about her kids. It's cool to see more of Shamia's inner circle. Then it moves on to Angela and Charles at their property. Angela goes into this story about how Charles got put out of a basketball game and then they had to separate because of it. That story didn't quite add up to me. And then when I went on Twitter, I seen some of the fans putting together that maybe the son, Charles Jr., maybe happened outside of the marriage. She hasn't said that on the show. I don't know if it's true, but that would make more sense than he went to a basketball game and got put out, and that's the reason why we had to separate. So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more about it later. In the next scene, Drew meets with her lawyer, and Drew looks a mess once again. It looks like a suit with half of a lingerie on the outside of it, and then the other half of the lingerie is under the other side of the coat, and then there's some straps hanging from the lingerie on top of the suit. I'm just like, girl, what are you wearing? And this is to the lawyer's office, for God's sakes. In the scene, the lawyer says that Ralph can't afford to move into a new place. He won't turn over his records as far as his finances. And then they even reveal that he may have taken money from Drew. What does Ralph do for work? It always looked like Drew was the breadwinner. Why is she shocked that he doesn't have any financial records? In the next scene, Shamia takes her daughter, Shia, to the doctor for a minor surgery. My eyes immediately went to Shamia wearing Fendi. Shamia wears designer clothes in almost every scene, even to go to the doctor. Could you imagine? Then we go to a spa scene with Portia and her mom. Portia's mom looks amazing. She looks beautiful. She looks like she could be a housewife herself. But Portia's mom also gives her this advice. Watch the dog that brings you back a bone. Which is going to start a rift between Shamia and Portia. Now, typically this would be some good advice. However, us with a bird's eye view can see that Shamia is being a good friend. And Shamia is just letting Portia know what everybody's saying. And telling them not to talk about her behind her back. And saying that if you have something to say to her, say it to her face. Next up, the final scene is at Kelly's Balmain event. It's a mommy and daughter event. Cynthia shows up looking like the Three Stooges. She has on an Ike Turner mushroom wig and a purple floral pantsuit with sequins on it. Britt showed up looking like Nicki Minaj in the Super Bass video. And the main event of this episode is between Angela and Shamia. Shamia tells Angela she has a 99's nose, to which Angela responds back and calls her Flavor Flav. And then Shamea responds back and calls her LaToya Jackson. At first, people were starting to say that Angela was colorist with that remark, but they show Angela's daughter, and Angela's daughter is about the same skin color as Shamea. So I don't think that's where she was coming from. Also, Shamea dressed like Flavor Flav for Halloween. And also, she was saying Shamea was like a hype man for Drew. So that's where the comment came from. In order for somebody to be a top tier housewife, they have to be able to do that ping pong match with each other, which goes back to Drew not being able to do it so far in these 3 episodes. All in all, I give episode 3 a C. The funniest moment came from Shamea and Angela when they had their back and forth at the ball main event. The reads in the shade also came from Shamea and Angela. The emotional moments came from Shamea when she was shedding a tear with her sisters. And the person who had the best vibe was Angela. I like the way she stood up for herself and challenged Shamea in this episode. The MVP for episode 3 is Shamea. She stood up for herself and didn't take it too seriously. The LVP of this episode is Drew. When Kenya called her out in the studio, she had no clapbacks. She was just shocked, like how she was in the first episode when Portia called her out. And also the fact that she needed her sister as backup when she wanted to talk to Portia. That's kind of cowardly. So basically, if Drew can't stand up for herself, then perhaps she's not pulling her weight the way she's supposed to. See you next episode. Bye.